Chris Cuomo with a big interview right now.
Hey, I'm Chris Cuomo, and we have something special for you tonight. You want to know what the future could look like? You want to know how great it could be? Have you heard of Neuralink? We got a guy tonight who's got technology in his brain. He's got a chip that allows him to control things in our 3D reality. This is right out of the movies. Right out of the movies, now a reality. Not only are you going to learn how it works, I mean, this is not, a deep dive into the science, it's the practicalities. And he's going to take your phone calls about what the experience is like on him, whether or not, he's got better reception in his house on the television or anything. And he'll take your calls. He'll tell us what the reality is and what's allowing him to do. Neuralink, this is the future. And it's his first live interview. So that's very cool. Now, I want to start off, though, with some food for thought. Oh, and my name. I'm Chris Cuomo. What do you get when you mix red and blue? You get purple, right? Like my shirt, which I wore on purpose to make the following point. What do you get when you mix the interests of left and right? You get reasonable. That is the NewsNation mantra. Get past left and right, get back to reasonable. So, let's look at the news. And you will see a bevy of bad examples, proof of not doing this, AKA the game. I call it that not because politics doesn't matter, of course it does. But our politics is a perpetrated fraud, where the only focus is party advantage instead of yours. First example, everyone knows what Trump and his cronies are about. There are a number of policies that are appealing to a large number of people, largely immigration, anti-foreign intervention, some debatable economic plays, and largely a draw for those who desire to disrupt the system. Okay, those are the pluses. But no one reasonable, meaning the plurality of this country that says it's not about following a party, none of the potentially persuadable voters have given any indication that they're teetering on the issue of whether Trump is a man of integrity or character or morals or any of the things that you use as a measuring stick anywhere else but in politics. So why do Democrats waste time trying to convince people who may be convinced of what they already know? That's why these New York trials were a waste. They are an introduction to nothing new about Trump. Oh, but no one's above the law. Please, save it, okay? Not every case is brought. These cases were brought, and we know why. And it was more for bad reason, meaning politics, than real reason, meaning the policy that these laws were meant to uphold. So we look at today's frenzied headlines about Trump again. This time, he liked a video that had a news banner from an old stock newspaper clipping that said something about a new Reich that you could barely see. Nazi alert, all over the place, all over the left, all over the media. President Biden was on it quicker than just about anything else that he gets on. Not only will this criticism not move the needle because of what I just said, but it's also not fair. It's just stock footage that some fan used to make a video. Clearly, Trump wasn't looking to promote the idea of a new Reich. The man is not a Nazi. And you don't need Trump to be a Nazi and to push that to beat him. And if you think you do, then you can't beat him. Your objective should be very simple in this election. Focus on why you are better. That's how you beat Trump. What will you do for the many common concerns that Americans share? What have you done? Start there. Stay there. Same with Rudy getting arrested on his birthday, no less. Again, this is not a win for the left. It doesn't move the needle. There is no confusion among the persuadables, among the reasonable about Rudy Giuliani. Reasonable people are the persuadables. You're not going to get their vote by saying to them, see, Rudy's really messed up what he got involved in. Now, more urgent examples. Speaker Johnson forcing a Bibi Netanyahu invite on Senate Leader Schumer. This is a, we love Israel more than the left play. But here's my problem. Bibi is not Israel. And if anything, he is the Trump of Israel. He catered to way right folk who wanted some scary violations of their constitutional judiciary. He's out of step with the majority of his country who see him as dangerous. And he has obvious bloodlust when it comes to fighting Hamas and is no fan of a two-state solution. You want to make a show regarding Israel, back the principles that are in line with American democracy. And if you want to criticize, get them to allow media in Gaza. Why did you ignore the news today that they're removing media access from there? This matters, not having Bibi give a speech here. Worry about getting media access there. But they're silent on this. Why? No advantage over the other side. We invited Bibi. We love Israel more. There's advantage, right? All they care about is showing that the other side is worse. Not what's reasonable, not what's in your interests, not what's in any interest except their own little bubble of how they keep power. Same thing with Senator Schumer, forcing an immigration bill vote. He knows it won't pass. And for decent reason, by the way. It needs negotiation. It's just a naked play. You see, we want to fix the border, and the right doesn't. Nobody's going to buy that. You had 3 years and did nothing. And by you, I really mean Biden. Because look, Congress is locked up. You don't have the numbers. And opposition is a legitimate position now. And as long as we're in that zero-sum game, Congress is dead. But the president could have done things. And instead, he did the opposite of progress. It was Biden's undoing of executive orders and home country deals that created the wild flow. An obvious favoritism of his left fringe over the majority of his party and the country's majority. Don't play the game. Everyone sees it. So we see the problem both in what these people do and in what they avoid. I call it proof of perfidy, being unfaithful to their oath to serve your interests, not just their own power demands. Again, why are they offering condolences to Iran? Are you kidding me? Why are you quiet about this right now? There is a power vacuum. I know the Ayatollah put in that patsy, but this regime has been kicking your ass all over the globe, including here at home. Who do you think's behind what's happening on the campuses? This is the time. Take advantage. Show leadership. Help the people there rise up. Help them. Make moves to keep Iran compromised. But instead we get nothing. Why? Again, the answer is simple. It doesn't help one party over the other. Same reason they don't take on fentanyl. Same reason that they're not crazy about rebuilding our supply of artisans, focusing on the trades. The biggest one of all. This is why you don't hear anyone elected in power wanting to revisit the pandemic. Nobody wants to look back as a way of understanding how to be better going forward. Why? Why? They love to investigate, right? Look at interference over here. Look at who did this and this business deal over there. And this person's got this relationship, but not the pandemic. They won't look back at what decisions were made, what we learned. They won't talk about the vaccine legacy. What do we know that worked in that process? What do we know that didn't? What do we have to worry about now? What about long COVID? What about vaccine injuries? What are the realities? I keep asking electeds to call for a 9/11 style commission on the pandemic to review what was and prepare for what may be. Crickets. Why? No advantage over the other side. So they stay away. They reject it. So take this as a NewsNation regular reminder that the game is afoot, my brothers and sisters. See the game. Reject it. So we're going to have that analysis, but remember what I started with. I'm going to end with it too. I am so pumped to interview this man who's going to be a demonstration of Neuralink. Our future is here. Let's see what it looks like, what it feels like for him, and what it enables him to do that you and I can't. All right, so that's in a little bit. But right now, we start with some breaking news, okay? Sean Diddy Combs, as I suggested, I told you when this started, it is only going to go in one direction, which is down. He is in the crosshairs of controversy, and it is growing. A new lawsuit just filed against Combs by another woman. Former model Crystal McKinney claims the hip-hop mogul drugged and sexually assaulted her after promising he could advance her career. This happened in 2003. McKinney claims her refusal to go along then with Combs' demands hurt her career. Specifically, she claims that she was blackballed from modeling, that she became severely depressed, and attempted suicide thereafter in 2004. She says she had a moral obligation to speak up now, some 20 years later, after seeing Cassie Ventura come forward and receive a big settlement. She is also seeking unspecified damages. Let's bring in defense attorney Mark Garagos and former New York City prosecutor Paul Callan. Gentlemen, good to have you both. First, Paul Callan, well, you're New York. Garagos, let me ask you, how do you bring a claim 20 years later? Is there a look-back statute in California or wherever this is being brought?
Yes, California. But I think this was, if I'm not mistaken, Paul could correct me, I think this was a New York federal case that was where they filed it in the Southern District of New York.
It's brought under New York law. Because of diversity of citizenship, it gets into federal court. But it's all New York law that's involved. And we have a look-back statute now that lets you go back 20 years if you want to bring one of these cases.
I thought it sunset, that statute.
That particular, well, we have to see when this was filed. Now, that statute was, well, there are two statutes involved. There was a second statute where the look-back period was reopened for people to file suits. And I believe that this case was brought under that second statute. And that's since closed now, very recently, by the way. But hundreds and hundreds of cases have been filed as a result of saying, essentially, there's no statute of limitations on these claims of sexual harassment and sexual abuse. So this case goes
Paul,
back.
what does this mean? So what does this mean for Diddy?
Well, I think it means big trouble for Diddy because we all saw the video a couple of nights ago that was released with him apologizing profusely, almost teary-eyed, saying he's a better man now than he was then, and he's reformed, and he's not going to do this again. Well, sorry, but this incident in 2003 happened before the great reformation of Sean Diddy Combs. So I think that could present problems for him in defending the case. And there may be a lot of women like this who are going to come out of the woodwork. You know, some people have legitimate claims. A lot are just out to make a quick settlement and a quick buck. And he's looking at a world of hurt in the years ahead because of these laws.
Mark Garagos, comment? Mark, can you hear me?
I think I lost you. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'll tell you that basically this is kind of the playbook that was used both for Cosby, that was used for Harvey Weinstein. And when I say playbook, I don't mean to be cynical about it, but you have one of these that gets filed and then people hear that it was settled. And then what happens after that? The lawyers tend to find clients, or the clients tend to get invigorated by this, and this is exactly what happens. There was one that has become somewhat of a blueprint, if you will, for the Southern District of New York, as we've seen, and I don't disagree with Paul. He's in for a world of hurt here. The question is he going to fight it? I think by all indications, it looks like he is. I know that people have commented on his apology. Is it too little too late? Should he have done it? This or that? For somebody to sit here and just take it, I think is naive. He's denying what the people are alleging. He's not denying at this point the Cassie incident, nor can he. And I said it last night, and I'll say it again. It is quite a leap to go from being a domestic batterer to a sex trafficker. I know that
it's true.
That strikes some people as
it's true. But in terms of short-circuiting his career, it doesn't have to be the feds. If it's enough of these kinds of stories that just paint a picture that he can't recover from, then he winds up in the same place in terms of the public opinion, which is in the basement. Let me ask you guys one other thing, and then I got to jump. Eric Adams, there are all these headlines about the mayor of New York City because one or more of his aides are cooperating with the feds. And everybody in the media, the reaction seems to be, ho, Paul, I'm not surprised. You know they have an investigation. For them to have an investigation, they've got to be having somebody giving them something. Is this just media hype and headlines, or are you surprised to hear that somebody who is an aide to Adams is talking to the feds?
Well, no, I'm not surprised at that. If they come knocking on one of his aides' doors, that aide is going to talk to them. It's a very scary thing when the FBI comes knocking on your door. The question is how many aides are doing it and what's the evidence against Adams. Now, this is another fundraising thing where the claim is that he raised funds from Turkey and those went into his mayoral campaign illegally. So we have to see if this can be linked directly back to the mayor or if this was some of his supporters going rogue trying to raise funds. And that's how this will play out in the end. Can it be linked to him directly?
Well, when we say linked to him directly,
Chris,
Mark, if you can't show that Adams pocketed cash, even if bad money went into his campaign, how disastrous is that to him personally?
Well, there's also a playbook for this. I mean, 20 years ago, maybe even 25 years ago, this is a Turkish group who is behind this, allegedly. Some of the same players involved were also trying to interfere in congressional elections 25 years ago in Ohio. In complete transparency, I defended one of the guys who was involved. That Congresswoman, Jean Schmidt, later was embroiled in another controversy about this. There are a lot of foreign governments, Turkey being one and some of the others that we see today, who think that by kind of insinuating themselves into American politics that they're going to end up affecting it. So and by the way, to your original question, of course his aides are going to cooperate. They're not going to refuse to talk because the feds have every tool in their toolbox in order to deal with that. They can give them immunity. They can throw them in front of a grand jury. They can threaten them with this or that.
And the feds can make a crime out of anything, talking. Chris. Anything. They can come up with a theory. So if they want to.
Who said, show me the man, I'll show you the crime? Who said that?
That was a Russian. I believe it was a Russian. His name begins with B, but now I'm forgetting it. But show me the man,
I'll show you the crime.
He was the head of the KBG in Russia. That's all I remember.
KGB. Yes. Paul Callan, thank you very much. Mark Garagos, thank you for fighting through the technical difficulties. Appreciate you both. 4 minutes, 5 seconds. A lot of you comment that we do those stories a little differently. It seems like a different level of conversation. I'm a long-time law reporter. Okay, I've been doing this 25 years. We see cases, they follow trends, they follow patterns. I bring in people I know have done the job before. So nobody's surprised by anything. So we don't hype it. We just talk about it in the realities that are most high percentage. And then you can decide how to feel about it. Coming up, Bill O'Reilly. Plus, Elon Musk's new tech, Neuralink. Man, I'm geeked out about it. Okay? I think that this is the first one that I've seen that really kind of makes us better. You're going to meet the first recipient of this technology. A young man, paralyzed from the neck down. The chip implanted in his brain is allowing him to do things with his mind that could only be done by you or me with our hands. This is wild, and he's going to show us how live. I can't wait. Stay with us. O'Reilly's back, and we're lucky to have him tonight. Big man, thank you for being with us. no need for a warm-up topic. I want to get your analysis of how to read the Bibi Netanyahu invite, both the play between Johnson and Schumer, but also the larger considerations about where America's position should be and whether that means being aligned with Bibi.
Okay, first of all, I don't have a chip in my brain, but I have one on my shoulder, and I'll demonstrate that tonight. And the guy who said, show me the man, I'll show you the crime.
Yes.
I know. That's what makes me charming. The guy who said, show me the man, I'll show you the crime is Beria, or was, Stalin's henchman in the Russian secret police. Okay, so Bibi Netanyahu gets an invitation to speak to Congress, which he should. The taxpayers of this country are funding Israel to the tune of billions of dollars. So certainly in a war situation, the leader of Israel, whether you like him or not, should address Congress. I'd like to see some kind of interaction rather than just a speech, a press conference, because I had Leland Vittert on my show, the No Spin News today, and Vittert knows the Middle East very well, as you know. And I asked him a question that's never been asked, as far as I know. What is the element of revenge on the part of the Israeli government? Because I think there is an element of revenge. And the American people need to know that, because we're funding Israel. Now, I am pro-Israel, as you know. Hamas has got to be wiped off the face of the earth. I think they should all be executed because they're never going to stop. Palestinian people, they're caught in the middle of that. That's terrible. There's really little Israel can do when Hamas uses the people as human shields, which they do. So it's a complicated thing. But in the big picture, the American public has the right, and Congress has the responsibility, to hear what Netanyahu has to say.
I understand the concept, but there is controversy around the figure. Bibi Netanyahu is out of step with his own people. He was in big trouble before October 7th. And obviously he survived it because this is no time to hold elections. But how do you balance giving people a fresh look at what they're funding and having an extreme figure in Bibi Netanyahu here who doesn't necessarily reflect what the rest of the Knesset or his own people want?
Well, that's up to Israel. All right, I'm not involved with that. I'm an American. I want to know where my taxpayer dollars are going. I don't want to get involved with Bibi Netanyahu's politics or what the Knesset thinks of him. That's up to the people of Israel to do that. So what I want to know is, here's a wartime leader. What is your vision? Is there an element of revenge in the way you conduct your military operations? And that would be human nature, certainly. I don't think we're going to get much of that. I think we're going to get the same old speech.
Right.
That Israel
That's why I like your press
we
conference
have a right
idea.
To defend ourselves. We're going to wipe these people out.
I like your press conference idea.
And it should be a requirement. It should be a requirement.
I agree.
Because
Bibi's got to be asked.
If Netanyahu's going to address, he's got to be asked questions. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be asked straight. Is it true that you don't want a two-state solution? Because I think that his honest answer has to be no, I don't.
Maybe so, but there isn't two states, so I don't know how you ever have that solution. There's only one state, all right? Gaza, West Bank is not a state. They're run by organized terrorists. And if you don't do what the organized terrorists tell you to do, they'll kill you. That's not a state, Cuomo.
That's understood, but it's the ambition. It's never been that what you have right now is two states. It's that you
visions
work
of
toward
sugar
two
plums
states.
are fine, right? But now I'm gonna be on the side of Bibi Netanyahu. Visions of sugar plums are fine, but he's got to protect his people. That's the highest role of any leader.
Understood. Give us a quick note about what's happening in O'Reilly land before I let you go.
Well, I'm very disturbed about a story that was underreported about President Biden's speech to the NAACP in Detroit. I wrote a message of the day. It'll be up tomorrow morning early on BillO'Reilly.com. And Biden said that he helped Detroit get out of the COVID mess when he was vice president. The White House very quietly today corrected that statement and said what Biden meant to say was he helped Detroit get out of the recession. Now, nobody with a clear mind confuses COVID with recession in a speech that was written for him. So I continue to submit to the American people that voting for Joe Biden is irresponsible, no matter what party you support, because he is not in control of his mental faculties. And I can prove that 50 different ways. So the media ignored the story, as they always do, when it has to do with anything bad about Biden.
Too busy calling Trump a Nazi.
I'm telling you, whatever, that was a good commentary. I thought it was fair up top. Trump's got his own problems. When you have me back next week, I did actually speak to the president, and I hadn't spoken to him in about 7 months on a history situation that he's interested in. But really? To every American who loves their country, 4 more years of Joe Biden will be a catastrophe. And under Trump, it's possible, but the way he governed outside of January 6th was responsible. And people did benefit from his governance for 4 years. The stats back that up.
Depends which stats you look at. But understood, leave it there and to be continued. I want to hear what happened when you spoke to Trump, so I can't wait. I like to live day by day, but can't wait till the next time I see you. Bill O'Reilly, thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for having me in.
All right. Always a pleasure. All right, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. You know what I say? I'm hoping that you look at Biden and Trump as what the two-party system was able to produce for you. And if that isn't enough incentive for you to leave the parties, I don't know what you're waiting for. Elon Musk's Neuralink, this is cutting-edge technology. But what I love is that it's helped a young man realize aspects of life he thought were gone forever. It's a brain chip that literally takes your thoughts and turns them into action. One recipient, 30-year-old Nolan Arbaugh, living proof, paralyzed, neck down, 8 years. He could not do what he can now. He wants to show you, explain to you, and then he'll take your calls. I love it. Next. He has been paralyzed, neck down, 8 years. Freak accident at a lake. Left him unable to perform any tasks where you'd use your hands until now. To call this life-changing, right, is an understatement. Nolan signed up for the clinical trials. He wanted to be first. Now, this involved a brain surgery to get the chip implanted under his skull. He now says if he thinks it, he can do things only his hands could do before. Like what? Use a computer, play chess, play video games. Nolan joins us now. Did I overhype it, or did I say it correctly?
No, it's probably undersold it. I mean, it's amazing.
I undersold it.
Not even words to describe. Yeah, there's not even words to describe how amazing this tech is.
So, oh my God, there's so much. I could do like 2 hours with you with this conversation. I'm going to have you on the podcast so we can really talk through all this. But give people what they need to know. Like, let's start with when they gave you this option, were you afraid that oh no, could I die when they do this to me? Or take us through what it was like to have this operation and this risk.
Oh, are we here to talk about Neuralink? I thought I was on here to talk about aliens. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, it was. I wasn't afraid at all. I have my faith. I have a very strong relationship with God, and I wasn't afraid at all. I was at such peace. I trust all the people that I worked with leading up to this, all the people on the Barrows Neurological Institute side. I trust all the people that I've met at Neuralink. I was just excited to get started, honestly. I couldn't wait.
You know, it's really interesting. Being someone who's anchored to their faith, you know, there's always a belief that God doesn't give you more than you can handle. And it does make you wonder if this technology wasn't a path that only you could undertake. And once you came out of that surgery and they started to test it, how does it work? Like, what did you start to experience?
Yeah, it was really cool. Right out of surgery, basically, they brought in a screen that showed a bunch of the neurons firing and said, this is your neuron. These are your neurons firing real time. And my first thought, just initial reaction, was to start trying to wiggle my fingers. And I saw some of the channels start spiking. And I was like, this is so cool. You guys got to see this. So I pointed them to exactly what I was seeing. And the whole room just kind of broke out. Everyone was freaking out. We're all clapping. Like, it was amazing. And from there, it just kept getting better and better.
So what can you show us that as a demonstration of what you can now do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so here we go. This is the Link app. This is how I control everything. This is the app that they've uploaded onto my computer that lets me control the cursor. This is my devotional that I've been reading all the time, every day. And then...
So wait a minute, you're moving the cursor, you're moving the cursor, Nolan, just by thinking about where you want it to go, or is it your eyes?
No, it's just me thinking about wherever I want it to go.
Oh, man. So you're not even tracing it with your eyes, you're just looking at it.
Nope, I can move it, and I can move the cursor around, whatever I would like to do. I don't have to be staring at it at all. Yeah, that's all me, man.
And you can play chess, you can play video games. What other applications that you found useful for it so far?
Yeah, man. There's so much. I can send all of my emails. I've been, doing all of my scheduling, replying to everyone. I've been, reading books. I listen to audiobooks, just all sorts of stuff. And it doesn't really take much effort either. It's something that I can do just kind of while I'm on live television, honestly. It doesn't really take much effort at all.
So how do you do it? Like right now you're playing a game.
Baseball fantasy, all sorts. Yeah, man.
So how does it, how do you do it? Like take me through the process of, are you thinking, let me go to go to my fantasy football, or let me go to my fantasy baseball, or let me go to, do you literally think that and it happens?
It's more, I think, where I want the cursor to go. So if I say, cursor, come to the top left of the screen, cursor, move over here. I say, look to a part of the screen and want the cursor to go there. It's all just brain power. It's all just thought-oriented. Whatever I want this cursor to do, I can make it do. And that's just the beginning. I mean, the first few months have all been about cursor control. They've all been about just making sure I can control my computer just like anyone else can. But that's just the start. There are so many more applications for this. I might get, the use of my phone next, or maybe some game consoles, just really anything that you can think of that's electronic. At some point, I'm sure I'll be able to control.
How do you expand your capabilities? How do they teach you how to use the Neuralink more?
I mean, it's very intuitive. Basically how I would use it with anything else, say my phone or a console, or connecting it to real world things. It's just about getting that app onto different electronics. It's about, finding some way to connect it to other electronics. I'm hoping that someday it can be connected to, like a Tesla, or to an Optimus robot, or to any other car that's uploaded with the right kind of computer where I can control it through that app. I mean, there's so much, endless capabilities for this.
Is there any application of Neuralink that could be synced to work with robotic movement for someone like you?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that they're definitely working on as we speak. Implanting a Neuralink in the brain and then another in the spinal cord below the level of injury. So then they can speak directly to each other, and that allows, movement for limbs. And I think that's, in my mind, it's going to be a fix to a lot of motor diseases, debilitations. So for someone like me, maybe in my lifetime, I believe, someone like me would be able to move and walk again. You would be injured, go into the hospital, get the Neuralink chip, maybe 2 chips, and then you could walk out of the hospital within a few days. I think that's very, very
Well, we're going to take
possible.
a break. 2 things. One, I like what you did there with the wordplay where you said, in my mind, someday this is going to, that's very cool because the Neuralink is in your mind. That was very smart.
Thanks,
and
Thanks.
I know you're into talking about unexplained aerial phenomena because you got a Roswell hat on. So don't play like, like you're not a believer. I know you're a believer. Let's take a break and then we'll take the calls from people because people are going to be so excited. Nolan, I'm so happy for you that this is working to improve your life. And stick around, 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Nolan's going to take your calls. 844-968-7720. I told you it was amazing. Nolan Harbaugh is unique. I know everybody's parents tell him that, but they're lying. This is the truth. He had an accident 8 years ago on a lake, paralyzed from the neck down. He is the first recipient, the only recipient, of Elon Musk's Neuralink. He now has a chip in his brain that allows him to complete tasks that the rest of us have to use our hands to do. And now he's taking your calls. It's good to see you again, brother. Thank you for joining me. Notice that Roswell hat. He was making jokes with me earlier about aerial phenomenon, but he's got the hat. All right, Dusty, who do you have for Nolan?
I just want to say I have a 20-year-old son, and I would love him to spend just a day with you because I think he would learn a lot and it would change his life. Anyway, let's go with Grace from North Carolina.
Grace, what's your question for the man?
Hey, Chris. Hey, Nolan. Nolan, I wanted to ask you, what was the process like with being a candidate for Neuralink? Did Neuralink reach out to you? Did you find them? What was that process like with getting connected to them?
Yeah, hey Grace. It was very easy. I applied the first day that the human trials opened up, the applications, and a month later I had been through the whole process, the application. It was, a lot of interviews at first, then I went up and did a whole day of testing in a hospital. And after that, it was just a waiting game for them to decide if they wanted me as a candidate. And then as the first candidate, from the day I applied, I think it was 5 months, and I had surgery.
Wow. Next.
Next, we're going to go to Mary from Michigan.
Mary, what's your question?
Yes. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Elon Musk. He's a gift from God. I think he's a miracle worker. And I would just like to know from Nolan, God bless him too, and what it was like to meet Elon Musk.
Thank you. Yeah, it was cool. I met him after my surgery in person. We talked a bit on FaceTime beforehand. I met him afterwards. I was still a little bit groggy from the anesthesia. But he seems like a great guy. I'm really glad to be a part of this. I'm really glad for him. I'm really glad that someone of his capabilities has taken an interest in this and people like me. And I can't wait to hopefully spend some more time with him at some point and really get down to brass tacks about what I believe this can do for humanity. But yeah, he seems like a pretty cool dude.
You're a cool dude. I cannot believe how well you're handling all of this, by the way. I got to tell you, so much of it was so, because look, you're already managing a situation that's so delicate, right? You got your whole family around you. You've been through enough. And now you're going to go have your head opened up to try to do something that they've never done on anybody else before. Yeah. I mean, very, very brave, very, very cool. And I'm glad it's working out. All right, let's take another call.
Barbara from Fresno, California.
Barbara, what's your question?
Yes, hi. First of all, Nolan, I'm so happy for you that this was done. And my question is there any downsides to this, and is it painful?
I'm going to go with no. There are no downsides. maybe all of the media attention. This is not something that I ever really planned for, not something that I really wanted to get into, but I just believe that people deserve to go along with me on this journey and to see how amazing the technology is and what it can do for someone like me. It needs as much exposure as possible, and it's not painful at all. I keep joking that if I lost my memory today and tomorrow you told me that I had a chip in my brain, I probably wouldn't believe you. I can't feel it at all. The surgery wasn't painful either. They gave me pain pills after the surgery. Obviously, I just had brain surgery, but I didn't take any of them. I was out of the hospital within a day and, never looked back. So, no, it's not painful at all.
Dusty, you got another call?
Yeah, let's go one more. Yep, let's do one more.
Please.
Pam from Michigan.
I can do this all night. Pam, what do you got?
Hi, Chris and Nolan. I want to say, Nolan, you are so brave and a gift to the world, and so are you, Chris. I want to know, are you worried about your privacy? Like, is this chip hackable?
Yeah, I'm not worried about my privacy. Not at all. I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. I mean, if anyone hacked it, which it is hackable, just like any piece of electronic equipment, all they would be seeing is brain waves, my neurons firing. It wouldn't give them much. They might be able to decode what I'm trying to do on a computer, but nothing as far as privacy goes. It's not like they'd be able to read my thoughts or anything. And I don't really see why you would want to do anything like that. I mean, maybe just to say it's been done, but yeah, I'm not worried about that.
That is like the last thing that you were worried about going through this process is, hey, is somebody going to hack in here and figure out my ATM code?
Yeah. No, it's just not possible. Yeah.
So, Nolan, look, I think it's so cool, and I love that you're on this journey of self-discovery about, just how far you can take this. And they're just avenues of, just dreams that you would have never imagined for yourself before this. So I just love that the technology is absolutely doing what we hope technology can do, So I'll be in contact with you right after the show to say thank you again and to try to set up a longer interview if you want to do one on the podcast to take people through all of it and what you want to do with it. And I'll talk to you about Roswell as well. I probably know a couple of things you'd like to know. But I'm not telling you right now. Nolan Arbaugh, take care. I'll talk to you
that's
soon.
Super cool.
We'll be right back.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.